Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to the 11th hour. It's been a couple of days since I played, so maybe there could be a reinvigoration of enthusiasm for this game, but I kind of have a hard time believing that, considering how, while this game does look nicer than the Seventh Guest, it does seem to be weirdly built around point and click hidden object gameplay a lot more than what you would have expected from the Seventh Guest, because I don't feel like the Seventh Guest had any of this, and the fact that it's become such an element in this game to just kind of hide the fact that they don't have any puzzles is a little weird. And see, this direction will take us to the laboratory with an infamous puzzle. Well, no, actually, it didn't take us to the laboratory. Interesting. I feel like it should have. So I may have to very quickly just use a walkthrough again, because there's kind of nothing here. And there's nothing to click on, so there's not even anything here to get yelled at for clicking on the wrong thing. Where there once were puzzles are now just destroyed areas. And I guess this is the way to the laboratory now. But see, I may very well have just wandered too far too quickly. That very well is the direction we came from. And over here is that puzzle. And I guess maybe we just have to do that puzzle, because by the looks of it, it doesn't seem like there's anything else around here. This is the problem with asset flip games in general. Like, and you can't really call this an asset flip game, because almost certainly all of this was created individually for this game, or at least most of it was. But what you see in modern games is this problem of there just not being any gameplay. Here we've got a different puzzle. And what do we do? Seems to me like we can move this one, and this one, and this one, but seemingly kind of none of the others. Will this always go straight? Because if it always goes straight, that doesn't really solve anything. Interesting. That didn't seem like that solved anything. Seems like this is the piece that's going to replace that, but then it seems like the entire row gets replaced at that point, and then either this entire row gets replaced connected to that, or there's something more to it. Like if the mouse is supposed to go this direction, you'd be fairly easy to solve this. It almost feels like what might be happening is that this is just rotating around, and so everything now is being moved like one step forward. Okay. So there's now no way really to get it to go. It doesn't seem like you can do the same move twice. Seems like I can move the mouse back this direction. Which then apparently decided to move the mouse in that direction. I mean, I'm rather close, assuming I'm supposed to be getting the mouse to that location.
Are you trying to think or have a movement?
Yeah. Can I do anything here? Let's just start completely over. This puzzle's rather failing to... really failing to just establish what the goal was in the first place.
Build a path for the mouse to find the orange hole.
Which apparently is this orange hole. Not this orange hole. I mean, you have to kind of assume that that's the case. And I guess, even though this is moving to the beat of its own tune, you're only able to click on the edges, so by only being able to click on the edges, you would then only really be able to move the middle square with the center left open a few different ways. But you can't change things. That's what gets weird here. It does seem like you could... And it seems like any move rotates something, even if you're not certain what that something is. Like... I think I want to move this. Yeah, I recently watched a video talking about how sometimes if you see a solution shown to you multiple times, you'll lock your brain into thinking one way and that there might be just a simpler, stupider solution out there. I'm kind of wondering if that might be the case here, although I don't think I can really just make that assumption because there's still just a lot of impossibility, it feels like here. It just doesn't seem reasonable for a player to be able to figure out what they're supposed to do. So I just... So did I solve that? And is it just letting me reset the puzzle? Like, at this point, 10 minutes into this, I have to just resolve back to the walkthrough. Like, this really is one of those games where you're just not going to be able to solve it without a walkthrough, because it's just obscure. Feels like even if the puzzles were explained in outside of the game, it still feels like that would be horrible game design and weird, and most people probably wouldn't read an instruction book to say when you get to the rat maze your goal is to get it into the square in the right side versus the square on the left side. Let's see. You need to get the mechanical rat in the top right, while Strife tries to get it in the bottom left. Okay, I guess if you rotated this a little bit and you were facing this directly, this would be the bottom left and this would be the top bottom right. And I guess Strife is just playing along. It would be kind of nice if he said, now my move, and that would explain what's going on. Let's see. On each move you can place a piece and then move the rat to any available space. After winning the game, look at the green bottle and pick up the pill bottle in front of it. There seems to be no solution here listed in this walkthrough. So either this is randomized, or there's just some weirdness here. So he's always going to just kind of push this direction. I'm always going to just try and push this direction. So, and it seems like you can only do the edges. So this might push us a little bit downward. Let's try this. So that's Strife moving. And that puts me like really nicely where I need to be. So I'm just gonna try and mess up this. And then move the mouse all the way over here. And then I guess maybe he's moving it all the way back over there. Okay. Which I guess that screws some things up. And I apparently can't move this too much. Okay. Seriously, if I was right there, I would win. So we've kind of found the solution. We just need to figure out how to get there. And I'm just gonna go all the way up here. And I think the trick might be somewhat that you don't want the guy to potentially be able to wreck you. So you want to probably have the wind up mouse end up somewhere in an intersecting point like that, which really then makes it impossible for him to make any changes whatsoever without hurting himself. See, I'm gonna change this one and hope that this maybe goes in some cycle, but it didn't seem like it did. I like that the game has kind of stopped insulting me. I half question if maybe the audio itself has just decided to stop with that. I'm gonna go over here and see if this pushes things in a specific direction. It kinda seems like it does. So I'm gonna have the guy end here. I think we're still kind of in a weird position. But I think we may be slowly working our way towards a solution. Nope. Oh man.
What's the matter, Carl?
It's not good. It's not a good experience. It's not gonna get any easier on me. It's not gonna do anything. Let's see. And apparently this is the battleground hint, so there wasn't something else to click on. I think I'm starting to understand what I need. So I think if I do this twice, that gets you where it needs to be. And so then if I could just do this twice now. Is there any benefit of rotating this guy? Yeah, I suppose it is slightly better. So maybe the game has decided to take some pity on me. And it didn't even ask.
You'll not find the next one as pleasant.
Not great. And now all of a sudden we can click on this green bottle and I guess we'll get another cutscene. Or something here. A ghost head. That's pretty bad. You can kind of tell, like, the length of this shot is like maybe 2.5 minutes long, and then that head disappearing shot with the effects was barely 5 seconds long. So I would say, like, you probably could tell, but there's probably a bad producer, somebody who didn't know what they were doing, a bad director, basically, because clearly the idea that we're going to have a 5-second CG shot and it has to be completely disassociated and it's going to be broken up from the rest of the scene, which was this scene of just seeing the body, the blood on the rock, which is also a very short shot, makes no sense. He has like cinematic ideas here, but he's failing to flesh it out into what would be a good 5-minute scene, even if you were going to break it up. That's just not the way you want to do things.
Bars deter, cuckoo bird.
Bars deter cuckoo bird. Well, that would either be the bars somewhere else.
You don't have to be crazy to play here, but it helps.
Yeah, and I guess we are just kind of looking now for what's the next thing. What's the next thing to click on? And we'll just try not to click on everything. You kind of have to assume that it isn't somewhere right next to things. Map wise, maybe we've got some more doors that are open to ourselves, but it's kind of hard to tell. I thought they would have been wouldn't they have been like blue lines if you could access an area, which kind of implies that there is no new area. We've seen the clock. It really doesn't make a lot of sense, and there was a great example of a problem in the design of this, is that because you rotate left and right by moving the mouse left and right, you then pretty much cannot have any item to click on the left and right edges. Otherwise someone's going to accidentally click on that object, and the game does not seem to really be accounting for that. Here's a cuckoo clock. This is different.
Was Robin Morales your bird, Carl?
So yeah, apparently that's not the right solution. Still can't go that way. Still can't go that way. Down we go. Still can't go this way. I guess if they wanted to establish that this toy maker was kind of like a ghostly character that would send people through like a psychological course of events. I want to reference here, there was a horror anime show called Hell Girl that had several characters that would lead people into horrific experiences. That might be more interesting. I don't know if there's a real reason to reuse the building though. Like I particularly now that the building is just kind of destroyed like this, there's really not a great argument to be made that you're gonna have a good experience here. The good news, I'm fairly certain that, wow, I guess you can't.
I'm sorry. Everyone here is dead right now. Please leave a requiem at the tone.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to use that house, and I think the 13th doll is not going to be set in this same house, or at the very least, because it's a fan game and that's and it's been a very long time, it would make a lot of sense for the, I'm gonna click on this even though it's probably wrong. You could have a small act certainly take place in this house, but I wouldn't put too much time around this or spend too much time in this area, because it is just not going to be a good experience. And I guess if you were gonna make a haunted mansion game in modern time, I would guess your best bet would be to make a much larger mansion. And probably for the sequel, you would have the whole mansion just change.
Don't let the bed bugs
Like, have the entire building be completely rebuilt and changed, and just have a completely different layout. Arguably, maybe that's what some of the later Myst games should have done also.
You're dead.
Is
Wrong.
instead of going back to Mist Island and not really doing anything there in the couple ones that did that, perhaps you go back to Mist Island and all the puzzles have been reset and changed. That's kind of what Myst 3 Exile tried to do.
Hello? Is anybody home in there? I don't think 11 is your lucky number.
So, how did I walk through here into the art? Yeah. Bars detour the cuckoo bird. Is it this musical?
Now, you're just guessing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, you're just guessing.
Alright, so let's look at the walkthrough. So, I was close. It does have something to do with the clock, but it doesn't have to do with us actually going through to the painting room. It instead has to do with this painting on this wall, which I haven't been able to look at at all, so why in the world would I not just assume that it is just background art of no importance, in the same way that that painting has yet to prove any importance? Yeah. Oh yeah, we were actually able to look at this, but you're seeing here toucans. Like, none of these really look like cuckoo birds to me.
There must be a better way to find things. Ouija boards, divining rods, fortune cookies.
Let's see. Click on the robin on the ground of the painting. So, apparently this robin is a cuckoo bird where the rest of these aren't, which is a level of knowledge I certainly don't have. That seems very specific to have to know that. And the whole painting turned into an image. So, are we seeing something now? So apparently that's some monster that just grabbed him. And then she just takes one step back. Now somebody else is watching footage on a monitor. And now furiously typing. So she's like in a wheelchair. Is this the same lady with the hand? This shot is so incredibly dark. So it's trying to integrate like a technology through line here. I guess maybe we'll find out that Carl has been dead all along, and it is really just us, the player, playing as that girl who's stuck in a wheelchair.
Modern art flourishes under the sun.
Okay, I do think I know the solution to this puzzle. So, it's kind of weird that the painting would turn into a video image, and it really hurts trying to figure out if the videos in the past were memories and what we just saw was what was actually occurring. That was just yet another scene that, like, it seems hard to excuse how bad a lot of these scenes were shot. Like this acting group, frankly, in the first game it was a lot more like hokey and silly, and so that would make more sense. But after the success of The Seventh Guest, enough to force them into making a sequel that they allegedly didn't want to make, I think that's probably hogwash. They probably definitely wanted to make a sequel. I think they should have really sat down and thought about what footage they were going to shoot and how they were going to integrate it into the game a lot better than this. When you look at Myst and how it was limited to just having small squares of video, they did that perfectly by having all the video be on a page in a book, a magic book where you could see video, and short little clips, with the exception of the end of the game. So I'm thinking this one flower or this flower, depending on which one is the sunflower. This is probably one that flourishes in the sun. This is probably one that doesn't.
Like games, don't you? Like the games you played with.
I can barely hear what the guy is saying over the audio music.
Come on, Mr. Sensitivity. Come on, Carl. They'll solve the deficit crisis before you find it.
An oddly still relevant statement.
Intermarriage and story.
Like, there's just a whole collection here of flowers, and it's just which one do you think would flourish in the sun, and so apparently you have to be an expert of birds and an expert of flowers. Like, and I don't know, maybe in 2020 a lot of the general knowledge stuff that they assume I would have has left my head for more complicated things, but this seems weird. It seems weird that you have a very high percentage of people that easily would just have to click on everything, be insulted by everything. Modern games, if you click the wrong thing and it usually doesn't react at all, maybe it makes a short negative sounding beep noise. It definitely doesn't go into a 5 to 10 second insult that gets repeated. So I'm not even in the right place looking at the walkthrough. Alright, well, let's show where we were supposed to go, because I misinterpreted that, and the game definitely is designed in such a way that if you misinterpreted that you were supposed to click a specific flower, you could easily not know whether you'd clicked a flower before or not know if how many flowers are actually clickable, because there's no real outline on them, and you could spend 10 minutes just trying to click, move a pixel to the left, click again, move another, not 1 pixel, but like 10, 20, 50 pixels to the left, and then just try to scan the entire image to make sure you've clicked on everything. And that would be really frustrating, because apparently is this puzzle here that is the next thing. Modern art flourishes under the sun. I don't get under the sun. I guess there is a sunflower here, and I do recognize that.
Maybe solitaire is a better game for you.
So, yeah, that is the hint. But you would have had to seen that. This game doesn't really have enough going for it to have you wander around the world trying to...
Keep trying, Carl. You're getting closer.
Like, wandering around the world trying to gain familiarity with it seems unrealistic. And a lot of things that are on the walls now, I just don't know if they really were in 7th Guest, to the point where had somebody really loved 7th Guest and played it 3 or 4 times, and they had memorized every painting on the wall, every location of everything. I don't think that makes sense at all. I don't think you could do even the same thing with Myst for me. Like, I can tell you generic locations of things on Myst Island, but if you ask me to describe specific areas in several of the sub-islands in the first Myst game, I could have probably not fully described what was on a table, what was in one location. This game feels almost like what you would do if you were really bored and wanted to make a scavenger hunt in a game because you'd played it so many times before. Scavenger hunt, I guess, is a great equivalent to a hidden object game, because most modern hidden object games also would have like 10-20 things in an image, and the image would be very stationary and full of items, and you would be trying to look through a pile of junk to find a specific item. This, you're wandering around a broken down house looking for something that matches a single sentence hint, which is very subjective and not very helpful. You could improve this game if you're going to remake it fairly easily by having some breadcrumbs, some hints, a ghostly like pixie trail pointing you in a specific direction, a hint system where the first hint tells you what floor something is on, second hint tells you what room it's in, and then third hint tells you exactly where it is. Things like that would be helpful. If there was a gameplay mechanic you could integrate into this that would bring the player to a specific area, that would be helpful too. If it was just that there was like ghosts of children, which, since this guy did kill children in the previous game, ghosts of children wandering around and you had to play hide and seek with them, or you could follow them, that'd be helpful. Ghost of anything would be helpful, frankly, as a way of pushing you in a direction, or monsters pushing you away from directions would even be useful. Even just having the doors have a magical barrier in front of them, so you can't walk through them, instead of having to check with the mouse and see if you can walk through them, would be helpful. There's very little gameplay design here in favor of recording a movie or a short film, and honestly, if they were going to record a short film, they should have done it better. When you compare this to something like Night Trap, where that is probably a 30 or 40 minute actual movie with lots of different locations playing at the same time, so if you could watch all of the footage from every location, you probably could get even up to an hour and a half. I know a lot of the locations don't have any footage a lot of the time. And then evolutions of that game eventually came out, and you had things like Burn Cycle and Double Switch, and I'd say Double Switch in particular, even more than Burn Cycle, definitely were built around the idea of telling much more of a linear story, much more of a story experience, but they did a very good job, I would say, in Double Switch's case, in making a gameplay mechanic that integrated to that experience also. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.